Did you arrest the same guys more than once?
Yeah, plenty of times, especially when I was doing narcotics. So after I went from the Northern, I went to a unit called the Violent Crime Impact Division. And so from there, you're dealing with the same street-level dealers all the time. And one of those kids actually really struck me. This one guy, Daniel Taylor, is the one I'm specifically remembering. And he was just a marijuana dealer. And he had a kid, and he was struggling to have this kid. He was young, he was trying to help, but he had gotten locked up a lot when he was younger, so he was selling weed to just like buy diapers for his kid. And
Point 1. Selling weed to buy diapers. To honestly believe this nonsense is to push the idea that the person selling weed to buy diapers has no other options. Or it's criminally stupid. As far as options go, the fact that poverty doesn't automatically equal crime is seen all around you on a daily basis. Poor people working jobs to pay bills. If poverty equaled crime as a certainty, every first world nation would look like the set of the new Mad Max movie, a complete and total wasteland anarchy. The fact that this isn't the case in America is a fine example of the vast majority of people accepting the rules of living in a society, regardless of how much they earn. So if we all accept rules as part of a society, and most of us make an honest living, why is it that we are supposed to feel guilty that someone else doesn't? This is the basis of Michael Wood Jr.'s entire message, that you and I should feel guilty for not being poor and not breaking the law. Does that make sense to you? If it does, then you are part of the problem. The screen you are watching this on is probably covered in tiny spots of rage-induced spit. Just take it easy, Scooter. I hear a coronary is tough to recover from.
And he would tell me his stories, and like, we would be there, and he would be crying, and it was just like, fuck, there's no difference between this kid and me. There's nothing. The only difference between this kid and me is that when I had a dime bag in my pocket, there wasn't a fucking chance in hell someone was going to look.
Point 2. White kids have it easy. Every time I hear someone say this unironically, I can't help but wonder if they have ever been to a trailer park in South Louisiana, or a coal mining town in West Virginia, to verify with their own two eyes the extreme and unfair wealth represented in crumbling trailers and clapboard shacks perched on the side of a mountain. The insistence that white people have it easier than black people in relation to everything from interacting with law enforcement officers to finding a job is a racist statement all by itself. Meaning Mr. Wood is labeling an entire group of people that share at least one characteristic in a negative fashion. But since that labeling of white people makes labeling all black people as victims easier and certainly more profitable, any argument against or dismissal of that notion makes you a target of the anti-racist crowd, a bloodthirsty crowd in their own right, more than capable of tracking down a dissenter's identity over the internet and proceeding to destroy that person's life and livelihood under the righteous banner of being a social justice warrior, fighting the good fight. Sounds a lot like a lynch mob, doesn't it? And much like a lynch mob, there doesn't even need to be any proof for this mob to take action, other than the barest rumor or non-compliant tone in a message. Yet again, another absolute statement made by Michael Wood Jr. meant to do nothing other than forward a divisive agenda.
But he was going to get caught eventually. Our whole system created a criminal out of a decent kid. These people, they weren't different than us. They just had a different environment than us. And we should be changing that environment, not changing them.
Point 3. Change the environment, not the people. This is a prime example of just how far an activist will go to hide or distort the truth as long as their argument will better their stance or solidify their bargaining power. Michael Wood Jr. wants you and me to change the oppressive nature of the environment these poor people grow up in for the better, while at the same time excusing any negative action perpetrated by those same people as a result of institutionalized racism. In other words, make the neighborhood better so that we don't commit the disproportionately large amount of crime represented in the U.S. Whatever happened to the ability for an adult, or young adult, to make a good decision? Is a person's environment so responsible for their thought process as to be a guarantee of a certain type of behavior later in life? This sentiment sounds suspiciously close to saying that black people are limited in their mental processes and limited in their ability to understand causality, the relationship between cause and effect. This coming from a spokesperson that makes himself out to be an ally to that same group of underprivileged people. I would expect this distressingly narrow viewpoint of the world from the Grand Dragon of the KKK, not a self-appointed warrior for social justice, as Michael Wood Jr. seems to see himself. Poop. Poopity poop. Big poop. The other side of stupid.